Hi, Kevin Wright here, back with another property finance video. And what are we talking about this week? We're talking about how to use a property auction catalogue properly. Interested in buying at auction? Here's what you need to know. Keep watching. Now, buying at auctions and understanding what goes on in the auction catalogue. Now, if you haven't bought at auction before, it's easy to be misled by what you see on these daytime television TV programs. There are masses of bargains at auctions just waiting for you to go there and snap them up. Reality is a bit different. Now, the sort of properties that show up at auctions tend to fit in the main in one of two categories. The first category is tatty, scabby, dilapidated properties that need a good dose of TLC. In fact, exactly the sort of property that you see on Homes Under the Hammer on those daily reruns that have been around for, 20 years or so. And the other type of property tends to be fully tenanted, day one income producing property, which tends to appeal to people with money to invest and just looking for an easy income stream. Now, properties that fit outside of either of those two characteristics tend to be the ones that you can pick up at more of a bargain price, simply because there's a heavy demand for both of the other types. The residential doer-uppers, well, everyone wants one of those, and the income producing properties, whether they're HMOs or more typically commercial or semi-commercial properties, there's a big market for those, and big markets for these properties mean that they don't usually go very cheap. In fact, often the opposite happens. People bid and bid and bid and bid, and they sell for more than they should sell for. Now, I want to highlight in this video two parts of the catalogue that you really need to pay attention to, and here's what to look out for. So first, we're going to talk about the guide price, and then we're going to talk about the legal pack. So guide price. Now, guide prices in catalogues are a big lever to be able to create interest. So a savvy auction seller and an auctioneer know that the lower they can put the guide price in there, the more interest they're going to create in that lot. So a guide price often isn't indicative of what the property is likely to sell for. Now, of course, for the less experienced people, a low guide price suckers you in and thinking, oh, I can really pick up that property cheap and make some money out of that. And of course, that's its purpose, to generate interest and get you bidding at the auction. So the key thing with a guide price in the catalogue is not to get too excited about it, because in all probability, it's going to sell for significantly more than the guide price. Some people refer to the guide price as bait. In other words, it's a teaser price to get you interested and along to the auction, whether that's in the room or actually online, and registering to bid. So as well as the guide price, is there another price at auction that you need to be aware of? And the answer is yes, there is. It's the reserve price. How is the reserve price different to the guide price? Well, the guide price is known to everyone because it's in the catalogue, isn't it? The reserve price is actually secret between two people, the auctioneer and the seller. The rest of us can guess at it, but only the auctioneer and the seller know what the reserve price is. So let's be clear on what the reserve price is. It's the price at which the seller gives the auctioneer permission to sell the property in the auction. There's something missing in your life, and I know what it is. It's subscribing to my YouTube channel. You know you're going to feel better. Subscribe, 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 subscribe. Click the link and the dingy belly thing and the Instagram. That feels so much better, doesn't it? For example, if the seller and the auctioneer agree a guide price of $200,000, if the bidding stops at £199,999, it cannot be sold, because the auctioneer doesn't have the seller's permission to sell it at any price below the 200 agreed reserve price. Auctions nowadays have a distinct link between the guide price that everyone knows and the reserve price that only the seller and the auctioneer know. And that link or differential is approximately 10%. So if that reserve price is 200, the guide price is not going to be much more than 10% below that, i.e. 180,000. Now auctioneers insist on this roughly 10% between guide price and reserve price because they want to ensure that as many lots get sold for as possible. So if the reserve price was 200 but they allowed the seller to set the guide price at 100, it'd get plenty of interest and plenty of bids, but it might not make its way all the way up to 200. Whereas if it starts off at 180, it doesn't have to get many bids to get it above the 200. Unsold lots don't help the auctioneer or the seller. And it also stops would-be buyers from being frustrated by properties that got an artificially low guide price that they probably won't end up buying. So having worked out the maximum bid price you're prepared to go to on any auction property, when you're in the auction, whether it's online or you're actually in the auction room, make sure you stop bidding. Because it's really simple, and many people do this, to keep on bidding and eroding any profit margin that you were going to make on that property, and to end up with a loss-making property, which is the complete opposite of what you went to auction to achieve. Now the second thing I want to cover is the auction legal packs. Now if you're going to go bidding at auction, it's imperative that you either read the legal pack yourself or get a solicitor to read it for you. Now why is this important? Because the legal pack contains important information pertaining to the sale of the property. Apart from any specific legal issues, what is most important for you to work out in an auction pack is what other costs has the seller put in there that you, the buyer, have to pay. Now these will be detailed in the legal pack. So it's important to understand that the winning bid price is often not the full price of the property. On top of the winning bid price, there's some extra costs that are in the legal pack that you, the buyer, are obligated to pay. And the seller decides what those are going to be, so you need to understand what they are before you bid, and even better, before you work out your maximum bid. So let's just say you've worked out your maximum bid, but you didn't know there was another £5,000 worth of costs that you were liable for that were detailed in the legal pack, and you didn't read that. So now you've overpaid by £5,000, and that's going to come straight off your bottom line profit. So the correct thing to do would be to understand that those £5,000 worth of buyer costs are there, and to work out your maximum bid £5,000 lower, so you stop bidding £5,000 earlier than you would have otherwise done. Now that may mean you lose the property because other people haven't read the legal pack and outbid you, but it also means you don't end up buying a property that you don't make the right amount of profit on. So there you've got two ways to keep yourself safe at auction. It's going to an auction unprepared for what's going to happen, where you can end up in a sticky situation. And I'd rather you didn't end up in a sticky situation. So that's it from me for this week. I'll be back next week with another property finance video. Hey, see you then.
If you enjoyed watching this video, did you know every Monday morning at 8:30 I do a live Facebook Q&A. So if you want to start the week with checking out some answers to your property finance questions, click the link here.